The message came at 3 a.m., nestled in a stream of static so subtle it could have been mistaken for background noise. For decades, Earth had been listening, hoping, but no one thought the stars would ever whisper back. And yet, in that quiet hour, they did. Dash! Eliza Morales had been half asleep in the observatory lounge when the alert flashed on her tablet. She squinted at the screen, the blur of numbers and waveforms swimming before her eyes. A tremor of disbelief fluttered in her chest. This can't be real. She slid off the couch, her slippers scuffing against the cold tile floor. With shaking hands, she tapped the playback button. The signal played through her earbuds, a series of tones, pauses, and rhythms, deliberate, intentional. Not the chaotic dance of a pulsar or the random hum of cosmic radiation. Eliza's breath caught. She ran to the control room, her mind racing. She patched the signal through the speakers. The room filled with a strange, melodic cadence, like a cosmic heartbeat. Her colleague, Amir, burst in, bleary-eyed and disheveled. "What's going on?" Eliza turned, her face pale. "We've got a signal. A real one." Amir's expression shifted from irritation to shock. He staggered closer, eyes fixed on the data scrolling across the monitors. "It's repeating," he whispered. "This isn't noise. It's communication." A chill ran down Eliza's spine. For all the years she'd spent searching for proof that humans weren't alone, the enormity of the moment threatened to crush her. "Contact mission protocol," she said, trying to steady her voice. "We need to verify." "Triple check." Amir nodded, already tapping commands into the console. The observatory's systems ran verification algorithms, cross-referencing the signal against known cosmic sources. After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, the final result blinked onto the screen. No terrestrial or natural origin detected. Probability of intelligent source a 99.9%. Eliza felt tears prick her eyes. They weren't alone. The universe had just opened its door a crack, and someone was standing on the other side. "What do we do now?" Amir asked, his voice hushed. Eliza looked at the blinking waveform on the screen. It was still repeating, still waiting. "We answer." The room felt both impossibly small and infinitely vast. Eliza's fingers hovered over the keyboard, the weight of the cosmos pressing down on her shoulders. How did one reply to a voice from the stars? What words could possibly be enough? "We need something simple," Amir said, breaking the silence. "Something that says we hear them." Eliza nodded, her mind spinning through possibilities. A greeting, a mathematical sequence, music. But in the end, the simplest choice felt right. She typed a sequence of prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, proof of intelligence, a shared understanding that transcended language. She hesitated for a heartbeat longer, then pressed C and D. The signal was encoded, compressed, and fired into the void, riding on beams of radio waves aimed at the source of the alien message. The moment the transmission left Earth, a surreal calm settled over the room. There was no going back now. Amir let out a shaky breath. "No, we wait." Eliza leaned back, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. How long would it take? Days. Years. Light-speed communication wasn't instantaneous across the vastness of space. What if they never heard back? "Do you think they'll understand it?" Amir asked quietly. "If they're sending out messages, they're listening too," Eliza said. "They reached out first. Maybe they want this as much as we do." Time became a strange, elastic thing. Minutes stretched into hours. Coffee cups multiplied on the control room table, their contents growing colder with each passing moment. The world outside the observatory began to wake up, unaware that humanity's reality had shifted. Just as the sun began to rise, a new alert pinged. Eliza's heart stopped. "Is that?" Amir's eyes were wide. It's them. The signal was back, stronger this time. The same rhythmic pulses, but with a new pattern woven in. Eliza's hands flew across the keyboard, decoding the message. The screen filled with data, symbols aligning into meaning. Her breath caught. The message was simple. Elegant. We hear you. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The universe had just spoken back. "Do you understand us?" Amir whispered. Eliza's eyes welled with tears. The silence of the stars had been broken, replaced by a fragile, tentative connection. Two civilizations reaching across the darkness, saying the same thing: you are not alone. The control room was quiet except for the hum of electronics and the whisper of their own breathing. The message still glowed on the screen, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. "We hear you." Eliza and Amir stared at it, the enormity of the moment sinking in. This wasn't just a conversation. It was the first thread of a fragile bridge between two worlds. The possibility of so much more hung in the air, a shimmering thread of potential. Amir was the first to break the silence. "What do we say now?" Eliza swallowed, her mouth dry. What did they say? The first exchange had been simple, foundational. Now came the hard part, moving beyond that first acknowledgement into actual communication. "We need to show them who we are," she said, her voice firm. "We need to send more than just numbers." She glanced at the world map on the screen, where the observatory sat like a tiny, insignificant dot. But that dot was part of something vast and complex. Humanity, with all its messiness, beauty, and contradictions. "What if they're expecting something profound?" Amir asked. "What if they're disappointed?" Eliza shook her head. Thea reached out. "They want to know. We just have to be honest." Her fingers danced over the keyboard as she prepared the next message. Images of Earth, its oceans, forests, and cities. The sound of laughter. The rush of wind through trees, the rhythm of a heartbeat. Fragments of music, from a simple melody to a sweeping orchestral piece. A kaleidoscope of human experience. Imperfect but authentic. "Ready?" she asked. Amir nodded, his eyes serious. "Let's show them who we are." With a deep breath, Eliza pressed C and D. The data packet streamed into the void, a tiny spark carrying the essence of a world. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The sun rose higher, casting golden light through the window, but neither of them moved. They were tethered to that signal, suspended between hope and fear. Then the console beeped again. Another message. It unfolded slowly, a series of strange symbols. But amidst the alien script, something clear emerged. A pattern, a response. Amir's eyes widened. They sent images back. The screen filled with alien landscapes, towering crystal formations under twin suns, cities suspended in the sky like floating islands, and forests that glowed softly in the dark. And then, the most startling image of all. A group of beings standing together. Their forms were different, elongated and delicate, with eyes that seemed impossibly deep. One of them raised a hand in a gesture that was unmistakably familiar. A wave. Eliza's heart pounded. They're trying to connect. Just like us. A fragile bridge, growing stronger with each exchange. Two worlds learning to trust each other, one message at a time. The stars were no longer silent. They were listening, and now they were speaking too. The weight of the moment hung heavy between Eliza and Amir as they stared at the screen, the alien figures frozen in time. The image of the wave felt like an invitation, a call to share more, to reach further into the unknown. But what more could they offer? What could they say that wouldn't feel like a desperate grasp at a connection they weren't sure they deserved? Eliza felt her pulse quicken, the implications of the moment spiraling outward like ripples in a pond. These were not just beings from another planet. Another star system. They were a civilization with a depth that they could only begin to comprehend. How had they found them? Why had they chosen now to reach out? "They're waiting for us," Amir said, his voice low. Eliza nodded, but she didn't speak. Words felt inadequate. The message, the images, they were so much more than anything she could offer. They were speaking, yes, but they were also listening. She could feel it in her bones. This wasn't just a one-way conversation, it was a true exchange, an act of mutual curiosity and respect. "I think we're all alone in the universe," Amir continued, his eyes fixed on the alien faces, his tone almost reverent. "And somehow, after all this time, they've found us. Not by accident, but by choice. Maybe we're not as small as we think." Eliza met his gaze, her mind still reeling. "They're not just reaching out to us, Amir. They're reaching out to us, to humanity. We're not just a speck on some tiny planet. They see something in us." The room fell into a quiet that felt almost sacred. The rest of the world could go on unaware, but for Eliza and Amir, this was a moment that would change everything. They weren't just scientists or researchers anymore. They were witnesses to history. The first humans to receive a message from the stars. A message that carried with it the weight of potential, of understanding, and of connection. And then, as if to break the spell, the console beeped again. Eliza's breath caught. "Thee sent more?" she whispered. Amir moved quickly to the screen, his hands hovering over the controls. The new message was larger than the last, a complex arrangement of symbols that flashed on the screen like the pulse of distant stars. Eliza took a deep breath, steeling herself. The question wasn't just what the message was. It was how to decode it. What language was it written in? Was it something they could even comprehend? "I think we have to trust our instincts," she said quietly. "If they're reaching out like this, maybe it's not about understanding every symbol. Maybe it's about the feeling behind the message." Amir raised an eyebrow but didn't question her. He'd always admired her ability to see things from a different perspective, to find patterns where others saw chaos. Together, they started translating the symbols. It wasn't perfect, but there was a rhythm to it, something that felt instinctual. And as they worked, Eliza felt a sense of calm wash over her. The vastness of the universe, the weight of their new reality, wasn't something to fear. It was something to embrace. Hours passed. The sun dipped low in the sky as the two of them worked together, building the bridge between Earth and the stars. Slowly, piece by piece, the message came together. Finally, Eliza let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The message wasn't perfect, but it was clear. "We are not alone. We are waiting for you." The words weren't just an invitation, they were a promise. A promise that this wasn't just the beginning of communication, but the beginning of something greater. Something shared. The stars were no longer distant. They had reached out, and humanity had responded. They had found each other, and now they would begin to build something that no one had ever dreamed possible. The world outside the observatory window had changed without changing at all. Earth still spun on its axis, the same as it always had, but in Eliza's mind, everything was different. The air felt charged now, heavy with the anticipation of something profound that had yet to unfold. Amir was pacing back and forth, clearly restless. "They're waiting for us, Eliza. We're not ready for this. We don't even know who or what they are. We've only just begun understanding their language. We have to be careful." Eliza understood the concern in his voice. There were millions of unanswered questions, uncertainties in every direction. But something deeper called to her. A feeling that this was the beginning of humanity's next great chapter, one that couldn't be postponed out of fear. She turned to face him, determined